Hi, it's Sylvester, and I wanted to talk about the show Supernatural, even though it is the year 2025, and I don't know if anybody cares about Supernatural anymore, but I do, and so I wanted to talk about it because, let me tell you, this show used to mean so much to me. It's funny because I actually tried to watch it recently. A couple months ago, I watched an episode, and I couldn't even get through the entire episode. It's not to say that it was bad, it just didn't interest me the way it used to, which is so weird to say that out loud because I used to be so obsessed with this show, like so obsessed. In high school and university, I was absolutely obsessed with it. It was my comfort show. I would watch it every day. I also had maladaptive daydreaming at the time. I don't anymore, but I used to back then. And I would spend hours every day up in my head daydreaming about being part of the show Supernatural, being in the show. I would write these silly little fan fictions in my head, and it gave me so much entertainment over the years. Supernatural, a lot of people joke about it and say that it's a bad show, but at the end of the day, the purpose of the show was to entertain, and I think that it did that. Not just me, but a lot of people. It entertained a lot of people, and so I'm hesitant to say that it was a bad show because I don't think it was. I mean, if it was a bad show, that means that I used to have really bad taste, and I don't want to think that I had bad taste, so I'm going to go ahead and say that it was a good show. I don't care what the critics say. I think it was a good show, and again, I'm thankful for years of entertainment that it gave me. And I wanted to talk a bit about Sam and Dean because I did used to be obsessed with this show, but I'll be honest with you, I haven't seen the entire series. I stopped watching after season like 10 or 11 or something like that. I don't entirely remember, but I have not seen the entire series. And so I am a fake fan. And again, I haven't seen the show in quite a while. It's been many years. Like I said, I tried to watch an episode a couple months ago, and I just couldn't even make it through the episode because it just didn't interest me anymore. But so I don't really remember the show that well, but I was so obsessed with it for so long that I do feel like I kind of trust my memories of it, I suppose. Anyways, I wanted to talk about Sam and Dean because I have always been a Sam boy. And it's funny because if you ask me who was hotter, Sam or Dean, like if you ask me just based on looks alone, who was hotter, I would probably say Dean, and I probably always would have said Dean, because Jared Padalecki is a very, very good-looking man, but I would say Jensen Ackles is a more traditionally good-looking person. Like, he has a perfect face, he's just so good-looking, and Jensen Ackles is one of the most attractive men on the planet, and so, like, I think that Dean is in theory more attractive, but I was always more attracted to Sam because of Sam's personality. Like I really liked Sam's personality. I liked that he was sensitive. I liked that he was kind of the straight man to Dean's kind of more sassy, funny kind of character. Like I liked that Sam just was more kind of put together. He just like, he seemed like the kind of person that I would get along with. Sam seemed like the kind of person who I would want to date and marry. And Dean, but like looking back, I realized that like Dean should have been the character that I had a crush on because he perfectly fits the mold of what I consider to be attractive. I like douchebags. I know I shouldn't. I know it's bad, but there's just something that really draws me to a character who's just like a sassy douchebag, and Dean is a sassy douchebag, and like I said, that's the kind of character that I've always been drawn to. Like in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, my favorite character was Spike, a sassy douchebag. You know, like I've always been drawn to these characters who are like kind of assholes, and so I'm surprised that I spent so much of my life being so drawn to Sam Winchester, and I don't know why, because Sam really is the good boy, and Dean is the bad boy, the bad boy, good cop, bad cop, and like, again, like I'm usually drawn to the bad boy, but for whatever reason, Sam was just like, he's just sweet and kind and empathetic and emotionally intelligent, and just like the kind of person you would actually want to marry, the kind of person you would actually want to date, as opposed to Dean, who is a little bit more rough around the edges and kind of has more of a I don't give a fuck kind of attitude. And I always felt like if I met Dean, him and I wouldn't get along. Like when I would daydream back in the day, the thing is, I've never been super romantically inclined. Like I always had a crush on Sam Winchester, and I wanted to be with Sam Winchester, but I wouldn't daydream about dating Sam Winchester. I would daydream about the will they, won't they kind of moments before Sam and I started dating. Like we would have this kind of playful dynamic where I would push him away and act like I didn't want him like that, and he'd kind of, and he'd like chase me a little bit, and like that was what I was into more than actual romance and dating, and so I didn't really picture myself dating Sam. But if I were to date one of the brothers, it always would have been Sam. Like in my daydreams, Sam was always the one I knew I would, in theory, end up with, whereas Dean and I never really got along in my daydreams. Like him and I always had this like brother sister dynamic. I say sister, I'm a man, I guess brother dynamic. But like I'm a trans man, and I used to see myself as a girl back then, and so sometimes I still refer to my past self as if I was a girl. So sorry. We had this like sibling dynamic is what I meant to say, where him and I wouldn't really get along. We'd be fighting all the time, but it'd be kind of not like playful fighting, but just kind of like eye roll. I'd constantly be rolling my eyes at him like, oh my God, you're so annoying. Like, you know what I mean? Kind of situation where he just kind of it pissed me off, but not in like a super serious kind of way, but just in a kind of like, again, like a sibling kind of way where it's like, ugh, I gotta put up with this guy. Like, oh my God, I fucking hate this guy, but whatever, I guess I love him, whatever, you know what I mean? And it's funny because there was such an opportunity there for the enemies to lovers dynamic to happen, because him and I, as I said, never really got along in my daydreams, but I can see a situation where it would start off with us like kind of hating each other and kind of like not playfully, but you know what I mean, like kind of like being dicks to one another, and then eventually realizing that we have feelings for each other and then falling in love with each other. That obviously could have happened, but it never did. It was always Sam. Sam was my guy, and I feel like this weird amount of loyalty towards the character of Sam Winchester, even though, again, I don't watch the show anymore. I still feel like Sam Winchester is my one true love, because I've never actually been in a relationship is the thing. I've never really felt romantic feelings towards anyone other than Sam Winchester. And I mean other people that I used to daydream about, like fictional characters, but like Sam Winchester was always the one that I kept returning back to. Sam Winchester was the one that I daydreamed about for the longest. And so I feel like I fell in love with this guy who doesn't exist. Like I feel like I had this whole relationship with somebody who doesn't exist, which is a weird feeling, and I wonder if anybody out there can relate to that. But sometimes I would imagine not Wincest, but like they were both so hot that sometimes I would imagine just like getting the idea of potentially being with both of them. like in a sort of polyamory sort of situation. But in that situation, I would imagine that they weren't brothers; they were just very close friends, and I would imagine that maybe like there'd be this romantic tension between all three of us, but there was never a time where I would choose Dean over Sam. Like if I could have both Sam and Dean, that's fine. But like if I had to choose between Sam or Dean, it's Sam all this, like every single time it's Sam, because Sam just owns my heart to this day. I love him so much. He means so much to me, and I wish that he was a real person, and I wish that I could date him, because I don't know if I've ever felt I don't know if I've ever loved anyone the way I love Sam Winchester. Which is kind of pathetic, but it's true. So, that's my story. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Stay frosty. Bye.